everybody for joining today. Really excited to show you the MyMFG Marketplace, which is where you're going to be able to buy leads, calls, or in-person appointments for this AEP, and also manage those leads and make calls directly off the platform. So to begin, whenever you sign in, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the campaigns page, which functions both as your hub to buy leads, calls, or in-person appointments, but also as your home page. So whenever you first sign in, it's going to look a little different than this. This is obviously a lot of campaigns. We've run a lot of demos. We've done a lot of tests. This is why it's so filled up. When you hop on, you're going to see something that's going to say something along the lines of welcome to the platform. And then there will be a button right around here that says create your first campaign. Now, if you're not new to the platform, it'll maybe look a little bit more like this. But if you're new, that's what you're going to see. So to get started, instead of clicking create your first campaign, I'm going to click on new, which is going to follow the exact same flow. And today I'm going to go through our 3 different lead types. One is our real-time leads, which are just data leads. Another is live calls. And then our third is appointments. I'll go through each one. I'm going to focus on Medicare today. We offer a few more different products, but since AEP is right around the corner, I'm going to focus exclusively on Medicare today. So to begin, I'm going to click on real-time leads and then click next. And I'm going to go directly to Medicare. So we can see here we offer Medicare leads for $15. It says exclusive, and that's because they're exclusive to you. So if you receive a lead, they're not going to be sold into a marketplace. They're not going to be sold to 2 to 3 other agents. They're going to be exclusive to you. And that's what that means. These are going to be $15 a piece. Now, how these leads are generated is off of online ads, normally on social media like Facebook, but they can also be on Google searches, Google landing pages, and things like that. But basically what an agent or what a consumer is going to see is a generic, compliant Medicare advertisement. They're going to click into that advertisement, and then they're going to be presented with a form where they are going to fill out their name, their email, their physical address, their phone number, things like that, and then consent to being contacted by a licensed agent. And then at that point, they're going to be converted into a lead. And then if you are based in their area, or if you have a campaign targeting their area, you could then receive that lead. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Medicare exclusive. I'm going to click next. And this is going to take me to my targeting method. So as you can see here, we have 3 different methods here. We have state, which is going to be targeting entire states. You can target more than one at a time as well. We have state and county, which is where you can target one state at a time, but you can target 1 county, 5 counties, 10 counties, how many ever you'd like. Or radius targeting, which is where you pick a city to be the center of your radius, and you can basically create a circle, which I'll show in just a moment, of your target market. So to start, I'll do state. So like I said, this is going to be targeting entire states. So I could do, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, and Arkansas, just as the 4 A states. And I can target all of those as long as I'm licensed in them. I could even exclude zip codes. So let's say there are certain areas within Alabama I don't want to target. I can exclude those zip codes right here, and then it'll only target certain areas of Alabama while also targeting the entire state of Alaska, Arizona, and Arkansas. Now, I always recommend this method above all, simply because if you're going to target full states, you're going to get more volume. You're also able to target multiple states at a time, which isn't something you're able to do with our other targeting methods. So with that, you're going to get more you're going to get a lot more volume, but we offer the other options just if you want to narrow it down and be a little bit more niche or niche with it. Sorry, I don't know why I pronounced it that way. But as long as you're licensed in any state, you can be licensed in all 50, you can target every single one and you'll be good to go. Now I'm going to click on state, and I'm going to go to state and county. And just like I said, I'm going to be able to target one state in particular. So I'm based out of Kentucky, so I'm going to target Kentucky. And it's going to give me a full list of counties within the state of Kentucky. Now, I'm based in Fayette County, so that's what I'm going to target. Now, if I wanted to target like Elliott County here, Fleming County, or Floyd County, I can also do that, but I'm going to just focus on Fayette County. And then I can exclude zip codes again. So if there are certain areas within Fayette County, which is Lexington, that I don't want to target, I can do that. And lastly, our radius targeting. So I'm going to do Lexington, Kentucky as the center of my radius. And as I can see here, it's going to automatically pull up a blue circle of a 45-mile radius surrounding the city of Lexington. Now I could scale that down to 15 miles if I'd like and just target the greater Lexington area, or I could even scale it up to 120 miles and target a good chunk of the state of Kentucky. Now you're going to notice that there's some bleed over into Indiana, Ohio, a little bit of West Virginia, and a little bit of Tennessee, but it's only going to target areas within this circle that are within Kentucky. So you don't need to worry about any bleed over. It's only going to target areas within the state that the city is, that's at the center of your radius. Now that's obviously important for compliance reasons. We want to make sure, and licensing reasons. So if you're not licensed in this case, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, or Tennessee, you have nothing to worry about. But now that I have this set as I'd like it, and of course I can also exclude zip codes again if I'd like. But now that I have this set as I'd like it, I'm going to click next. And this is going to take me to my daily lead volume. So this is on a scale of 1 lead to 100 leads per day. Most agents hover between 10 to 15. I'm just going to set it at 10. But what this is it's the maximum number of leads you would like to receive each day. Now, that does not guarantee that you're going to receive 10 leads per day. Now, if you're targeting 15 full states, it's probably likely you'll get that. But if you're targeting a very small county, you might not get 10. What it does mean is that you will not receive more than that on any given day. And why we have this set up is we don't want agents to become overwhelmed with getting too many leads out of the gate whenever, we don't want agents to get overwhelmed with too many leads in one given day. You might turn this on, set it and forget it, log back in the next day, and we don't want you to have 200 leads that you're never going to have enough time to work. So this is going to allow you to set it to whatever you're comfortable with each day. If it's 10, if it's 15, if it's 25, it could even be 50. But that's going to allow you to control exactly how many leads you're going to receive each day. But again, it does not guarantee that you will receive that amount each day. That's going to be very contingent on your target market. But now that I have this set, I'm going to be able to click next, where it's just going to take me to my review and launch page. So I can name this if I'd like. I could do Lexington KY Medicare campaign. I can just name it whatever I'd like. I can verify and review any of my selections. So if I want to change anything, I can just click on the pen and pad here on the right side associated with whatever selection I made. I can apply a promo code if I have one. And then ultimately, I'm going to select my payment source. So in this case, I only have personal funds. Team funds are going to be co-op dollars issued by Messer, or if you're associated with a team, with a particular team, you might receive funds from them as well. But this is where you're going to be able to select those co-op dollars to use for campaigns. Now, I don't have any, but it's likely that you probably will. So you can select that as well. But I'm just going to select personal balance, and I'm going to launch that campaign. It always takes a moment for it to launch. But I can see here now that I am set up with a Medicare campaign based in Lexington, Kentucky. It's going to automatically be set to active. I can review my details here if I would like, and I can change anything again with the pen and pad. But as long as this says active, and as long as this symbol right here is green, that means that I'm eligible to receive Medicare leads. Now, let's say I'm going to go on vacation, or let's say even better, AEP is ending, and I don't need to receive any more Medicare leads. All I need to do is click on active, select my reason for pausing, so I'll select busy. I'll pause that campaign, and I won't receive any leads. So you're only ever going to receive leads, and this is the same for calls and appointments, if you intentionally set your campaign to active. So as you can see here, I have a whole bunch of campaigns. All of them are paused, so I'm not going to receive anything. Now, if I set any of these to active, then it would start to tick up a little bit. But I'm going to pause now before I head into live calls to take any questions. Andrew, are there any questions in the chat that you would like for me to answer?
There are no questions yet, but people, if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat, and Spencer will pause throughout the presentation here, and we'll answer those as they come.
Perfect. Well, then I'll go ahead and jump right into live calls. So just like before, I'm going to click on new. Now, if you're new to the platform, you would click on create your first campaign. But I'm going to click on new, and this time I'm going to go to live calls. And I'll just go straight to Medicare again. So as you can see here, we have 3 different types. We have Medicare live transfers for $65 after a 90-second buffer. We have Medicare inbound short durations for $25 after 10 seconds. And we have Medicare inbounds for $55 after 90 seconds. And we also have best times to receive calls right here. What it says here for Medicare inbounds, it would apply exactly the same to the short durations. So a few things that I think people might have questions about at the beginning is, what exactly do you mean whenever you say 90 seconds or 10 seconds? Now, what that means is on each live call, you have a quote buffer time. Now, how that works is, let's say I take one of these Medicare live transfers for $65 after 90 seconds. When I hop on the call, I'm going to have 90 seconds to basically handle the call, vet the consumer, make sure that they're a legitimate lead, that they are actually interested in Medicare, that I could actually have an opportunity to sell here. Now, if for whatever reason I view that this lead is not good, that it's not going to be something that can convert, if you hang up before 90 seconds, you will not be charged for that call. Now, we heavily monitor that. We heavily make sure that agents are not abusing that buffer time, because if it goes past the buffer time, the call then becomes billable, where if it does not, the call does not become billable. And that can affect our relationship with our lead providers. That can affect how much volume they'd like to send. That can affect how many calls you are then able to take. So we really try to make sure that calls are being handled appropriately. So for example, this is a great real world example. There was an agent, I believe on the Messer platform, that took a call where very quickly they realized that the consumer had Alzheimer's. They hung up about 40 seconds in and they weren't charged. That's a great reason to hang up. Now, if you want to hang up just because you don't want to get charged, but everything was looking good and compliant, that is where the issue would lie. And we would have the right to remove your access to the platform. So just always like to mention that. We rarely have any issues, but I always just like to mention that on the front end. And the same thing applies here for these Medicare inbound short durations. They're 10 seconds. You're probably thinking that's really short. I'm not going to have time to figure anything out. You're probably right. 10 seconds is not much time at all. It's about enough time to say hello and exchange your name. But that is the reason that these calls are $30 cheaper than the 90-second ones, is because some agents prefer the shorter duration if it means a cheaper call, where others would prefer a more expensive call for more time to vet. So we provide both options for you. It's entirely up to you. You can create both campaigns if you'd like, test them out, and then just devote more of your time to which one you're more comfortable with. Now, another thing I'm sure there's some people have questions about is just how are these leads created? How are they generated? In the same way, these are going to come in on online ads, but there's going to be a couple different methods of how they're going to be handled. So for the Medicare live transfers, they are going to work very similarly to the Medicare data leads, where an agent's going to click into an online ad, they're going to fill out a form, but instead of routing to our system for a $15 lead, they're going to route to our call center, to a call center that we partner with, that is then going to dial out for you and do the vetting for you. So they're going to hop on, they're going to call, they're going to verify that the consumer is who they say that they are, that all of their information is accurate, that they have parts A and B, that they are interested in receiving or talking with the licensed agent about talking about their Medicare coverage, potentially switching their Medicare coverage, or adding Medicare coverage for the first time. And if everything checks out, if they agree to everything, if they consent, they'll then dial into our system. And if you have a campaign active in the state that consumer is based in, you could receive that call. And now whenever you receive it, you could say, hey, how's it going? I'm Spencer. And the call center representative will hear you and say, awesome, I have so-and-so here on the line interested in hearing about Medicare. Would you be able to help? And in which case you would say, of course. And then they'll do a brief handoff, and then they're going to hang up and leave you on live with a Medicare consumer, or with a consumer ready to hear about Medicare. Now, the inbounds are a little bit different. They're still going to be off of an online ad, just again, a very generic Medicare advertisement. But instead of clicking in and filling out a form, it's just going to have a phone number attached. Now, it's not your phone number. Don't worry. Some agents have worried about that in the past. But they're just going to dial into that phone number. It'll route to our system. And then again, if you are based in their state, you could receive that call and then be on with the consumer ready to receive or ready to talk about Medicare. So both are great options, both with the different durations, and then also with the different, whether it's live transfers or inbounds. and it really just comes down to the agent's comfort level of what they prefer. So in this case, I'm just going to select the $25 after 10-second Medicare inbound, and I'm going to click next, in which case I'm going to be taken to the geography page. Now, this is a little different. Instead of having state and county or radius, it's only going to be statewide, and there's no option to exclude zip codes. So again, let's just say for this one, I'm licensed in all 50 states plus Washington, D.C. I'm just going to select all, and then I will be ready to go. Now, again, if you're licensed in 15 states, I recommend adding all 15 states. If you're licensed in only 5, I still recommend only doing those 5. Or if you're licensed in all 50, select all and make calls to everybody. The more states that you can put on this list, the more volume you're going to get. And the more volume you get, the more opportunities you're going to have to sell. So I really recommend taking the time to put all of your licensed states on this page in particular. And now I'm going to click next. And again, take me to the review and launch page. So I'm just going to, I can name it again. I'm just going to call this one USA Medicare Inbound Short Durations. I can edit any of my selections again. And now I'm going to select my payment source. I'll launch that campaign. I'm now going to see that it is now here on the platform. So I am actually using a test account here, so it's not going to function properly if I click active. The reason for that is we recently switched. Before, if you're not new to the Messer platform, you used to be able to have calls routed to either a cell phone or a landline number. Now we've switched to where all calls are taken right here on the platform using a soft phone that or a voice number that you're able to generate right here in your settings. So I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to click on my name in the top left, so John Smith, and I'm going to click on settings. Now I can see that my voice number has already been generated. It's 270-713-7990. You can hand that out to consumers. They can call in. It'll route to the platform right here on the call log. It's going to function just like any other voice number. But it's also going to allow you to just hop on, set this campaign to active, and then you're going to be able to take calls directly within the platform. Now, right here, it's not popping up again because I'm using a test account, but you're going to see a headphone here that's going to have either a green check mark or a red X. If it has a green check mark, that means that you're good to go. All of your settings are appropriate. Everything is set up as it needs to be, and you're going to be ready to take calls, whether that's from your laptop audio, whether that's your laptop microphone and audio, or from a headset. Like right now, I'm using AirPods. That would be suitable as well. So if it's green, you're good to go. If it's red, you're going to need to go into your settings, whether that's in your browser settings. So if you're using Google Chrome, just your Google Chrome settings, or you could also go into your computer or laptop settings just to enable permissions for the MyMFG marketplace to access your microphone and headset. But once that's all set, you're going to be able to take calls. And again, it's all self-service. So whenever you're ready to take calls, just set this to active and sit here. You can take emails. You can review Medicare coverage. You can just to prepare yourself as best as possible for the states that you're targeting. But as long as the campaign is active, you're able to receive calls, and it'll ring out just like a normal phone. It'll have a ringtone. You'll then click into the system, click answer, and you're going to be on live with a consumer. Now, one thing I like to mention is it does have an idle time. So if you sit idle for 30 minutes, it's going to automatically pause the campaign. So like I said, if you're taking emails, just make sure you click into the MyMFG marketplace every so often and just literally just move your mouse like that, and it's going to reset that timer. But if you also, for whatever reason, get up and you miss a call, it'll automatically pause your campaign as well, just to make sure you're not missing too many calls. So I'll pause again right here, Andrew. If there are any questions about how live calls are made, or how the live call campaigns are made, how calls are generated, anything like that, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, so I'll try and help you answer a few too. We did have a few come in, a few from
Perfect.
Jose. He asks if the price of the lead will be a flat rate, and it will be for all the campaigns, I believe.
Yep, it is a flat rate unless you have a promo code for whatever reason.
Awesome. And he also asked, can he select a language of preference, or will all the leads be in English?
All of the leads are in just in English. Now, of course, if let's say you wanted to take real-time leads, you can get very niche with your targeting method and targeting market, and you can get down to very specific Spanish speaking areas where you would maybe be likely to receive a lot of Spanish speaking leads. We used to have Spanish speaking calls and Spanish specific, but the volume was just never there. It was just agents would be sitting for hours on end and not get anything. So we've since removed those.
Gotcha. Samuel has a question is of if he will be billed for the leads on a daily basis or if he has to set up a credit card to pay for the daily leads. And you will
That's a
set up
great
a credit
question.
card.
That is a great question. Yes. So like Andrew said, you're going to be setting up a credit card. So how you do that is you're going to click on your name again here on the top left and you go to billing. And then you can just click here, add funds. And I could put in, $1,000 if I wanted, put in my card information like 1234, 1234, 1234, 1234. Obviously not a real card. Put in the expiration date, the CVC, and then I could turn on auto recharge if I'd like. Basically what that means is if my account balance falls below a certain number, so in this case $100, it'll automatically add in $500. And that's just to help with an uninterrupted lead flow. But you can toggle that off if you'd like. But this is how you add funds. If you'd also like, you can just go here to add payment method, just like before, 1234, 1234, 1234, 1234. Put in the rest of the information, and I'll be good to go. So that's how you do it. But basically how it works is whenever you put in your funds, it's going to just put it into basically a pool of dollars within your account, otherwise known as your account balance. So what you're going to see on your credit card statement is, let's say I put in $498 in this case. I'm just going to see that $498 has come out of my credit card. And as I get a lead, so in the case of $25 leads, this is just going to dwindle down by $25 for every call I get, $15 for every lead I get, or $100 for every Medicare appointment I might take. So that's how it works. That's a great question. And I hope that's a suitable answer.
Yeah, I think so. We do have some more. So Tina asks if the calls are stored with Messer and for how long, or what would the protocol to retrieve a recorded call be?
That's a great question. So that's actually a good segue into I'll go into the My Leads page next and the call log, because that's where all of the calls are going to be stored. So I'll start with the My Leads page. So this is actually going to be your built-in CRM here on the platform. So as you can see here, it's just a basic table where you're going to be able to see the product type. You're going to be able to see when it was received, the status that the lead is currently at, name, birth date, city, and state. I'm also going to have the ability to call now using the voice or the soft phone option within the platform. Now, the real bread and butter, and to answer your question now, is where am I going to be able to see call recordings? Where am I going to be able to actually manage these leads? So I'm going to use this Angela Whiteside lead as an example. So I'll click here into Angela. Or actually, let me go back because I believe Jane Doe right here. Yes, she has a recording right here. These are all test leads. So that's why Angela didn't have one. All of yours will have a recording here, and they're going to be by default stored for a minimum of 10 years. But in reality, they're going to be stored forever for compliance reasons. But if you'd like, you can come in here and you can download these calls if you'd like. But beyond that, you're going to see a full timeline here of all correspondence that I've had with this lead. Now, this is our go-to test lead here. So you can see there's been a lot of history with Jane Doe. But I'm also going to be able to see a bit more information here. I can also edit this information if I'd like. But how I use this timeline effectively is to come here and click actions, and I'm going to have a few options here. So I can change the status, and that just means dispositioning the lead. So let's say I quoted Jane Doe for coverage, and she has to get back to me on if she'll say yes and agree and I made a sale or not. So I'm going to click save, and I can now see that this has been updated to quoted. I can see that the timeline has been adjusted. I can also add a note here and say quoted on 9/16, will here back by end of week. I can add that note. I'm going to see here that it's been added onto the timeline. And this is important for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to help you stay organized. We ideally would like for you to use this well, so that way whenever you click into any of your leads, you know exactly where you stand at that given moment. Another reason why dispositioning, otherwise changing the status, is so important is one, it's going to help you stay organized. But two, it's going to help us at Sales River. We're going to be able to see exactly how leads are performing. So let's say we saw a string of leads that were all disconnected, just as an example. We'd be able to see, hey, there's been a lot of disconnected calls. We can see they're all coming from this lead provider. Let's give them a call and say, hey, what's going on here? Why are we getting so many disconnected calls? We want to make sure that this is going to be as useful and effective as it possibly can be. So it helps us be proactive and making sure that we can make appropriate changes to enhance lead quality and lead delivery. So it's a way for you to help yourself, but it also helps us. Now, on the flip side of this, where you had also asked where a call is going to be recorded, you can see here, right here on the call log, I'm going to have a full list of every call that I've had with either Jane Doe or test lead. Now, the reason that these are blank is because there was no answer. But as there is an answer, I'm going to be able to see it right here. Again, I'm going to be able to download the recording. I can click view lead and it'll take me directly to that lead, or I can even call back directly off the platform and I can then talk with the consumer, where then the recording will be stored right up here at the top. So you have a couple areas where you're going to be able to see where your calls are stored. And again, they're stored for a minimum of 10 years for compliance reasons, but in reality, they're stored forever. And sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. I was going to hop into the My Leads after the in-person appointments, but felt like that was an appropriate time to just go ahead and hit on that.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Thank you for that. Another question is from Elaine. Are inbound leads also verified by call center?
No, so the inbound calls are going to go just directly to you. So then that would be where it's on you to do the vetting out of the gate, which I would just make sure to trust your scripting on that. I know Messer provides, or I believe Messer provides scripts, and I'm sure within that is a pretty useful tool to vet and qualify each of your leads. So I would just follow that and make sure that it's all that it flows well, that you're comfortable with it. And then of course, if the lead doesn't work out, depending on your lead type, you may or may not be charged.
And then kind of along the same lines, have all these leads been scoped, like with an SOA?
So these have not. Now, the in-person appointments, which I'm going to get to next, have. So all of these are just essentially, they're not raw leads, but you could view them almost like raw leads, if that makes sense, where you would need to, if you're going to have an appointment with them or anything like that, you would need to scope them yourselves. With the in-person appointments, that's handled a bit differently, and we do deliver a scope of appointment to you that you're going to be able to download on your My Leads page, but I'll get to that in just a moment.
And then someone asked if you can elaborate a little bit more on the 90-second buffer explanation.
Yeah, so again, just as like the practical example. So let's say I am a licensed agent and I take a call, and it's very clear that the consumer who might have called in off of an inbound is like has Alzheimer's. That was a practical example that happened a few months ago. If I'm able to verify that very quickly, or just recognize that very, very quickly, I'm able to hang up before the 90 seconds hits. And if I do that, then this number here, like I had mentioned, so 498, let's say I take this $25 call, last 30 minutes, obviously well past 10 seconds. This is going to go down to 473 because I took that call. Now, if I take a 90-second call, and like I mentioned, there's going to be, I can tell that the consumer clearly has Alzheimer's and is not within a stable mind to handle these decisions, anything like that. This is just not going to be a quality lead. If I hang up before the 90 seconds hits, this number will stay the same and I will not have been charged. Now, of course, that's why with the 10 seconds, these calls are so much cheaper, because I'm not going to be able to figure that out in 10 seconds. Some agents don't mind that. Some agents are just, hey, I just want to take as many calls as possible. I can take double the amount of calls for if I spend $100, I can take double the amount of calls than if I wanted to have the 90 seconds. And some agents love that. But that's why we offer both, is because some agents like to have the flexibility to have the 90 seconds to vet. Some just want to take calls. So that's why we do both.
Awesome. And just a few more here, and then we'll move on to the next part.
Perfect.
Yes, so David, the campaigns apply to ACA customers as well. Yes, we have ACA, final expense, and Medicare leads.
Yes, I'll show those real quick. So these are our data leads again. So we have ACA exclusive and ACA tier twos. Again, these are going to be off of online form or just online ads. The reason the tier twos are $10 cheaper is they're going to be a lot lower intent, and that's because they're generated off of like just a basic needs questionnaire that a consumer is going to fill out. So let's say I hop on and I fill out the questionnaire just on my own. It's going to be basic questions, basic personal information, income, job status, mortgage, education, medical history, all this, just anything you can think of is what it's going to ask. And based off your answers, you'll be categorized into an ACA lead, final expense lead, could be Medicare, which we obviously don't offer here on the Messer platform, things like that. So it's a much lower intent, where the ACA lead is going to be a consumer clicking specifically into an ACA ad. It's not uncommon. I don't want to say that it happens regularly, but it's not uncommon for you get an ACA tier 2 lead and you call them and they're like, I wanted to hear about final expense. And the reason for that, again, is based off the answers they gave, they were categorized into ACA, but they might have filled out the form with the intent of hearing about final expense. So that's why they're $2. Some agents like it because you can just take a bunch of swings at it, just have a lot of at bats, where these are a bit more expensive, but they're going to be more tailored to that specific product. And same thing for life insurance, just final expense, $12, final expense tier 2, same idea for $2. And then we have for live calls, same stuff, just ACA live transfers, ACA inbounds, and then final expense inbounds, short duration, and final expense inbounds, long duration.
Perfect. One thing, is there a minimum that has to be purchased? And then we'll move on.
I believe that there is, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I can get that information out to Andrew once I'm done, and then he can pass it along. But I do there are minimums. I don't know what the number is right now. But whenever you sign up or whenever you're trying to start a campaign, instead of adding funds here through billing and just blindly doing it, you can go ahead and go through the campaign process just like before, fill out your information. And then whenever you click launch campaign, instead of going back to your campaigns page with the created campaign, it's just going to pop up a paywall basically telling you what the minimum is and what you need to deposit. So you'll see that there as well if you were to go ahead and hop on before we're able to get you an answer.
Awesome. Thanks, Spencer.
Yep, no problem.
And I think for now we can move forward, but if there are any questions, again, put them in the chat and we'll try and answer them as we go on the next break.
Perfect. So just like before, I'm going to click on new. If you're new to the platform, click on create your first campaign. But this time I'm going to go to appointments. This one, it's very easy. We only have Medicare appointments, and we only offer in-person Medicare appointments. So these are going to be $100 a piece. But the reason they're so expensive is, one, you're getting a scope of appointment from the call center representative, but you're also going to be meeting with the consumer in their home, hence in-person appointments. These close at a much higher rate. We had an agent last year from Messer close at just under 50% throughout AEP. So that's why these are priced at $100, is because they perform at a much higher clip than calls or data leads, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and click next, and it's going to take me to my targeting method. So we only have county method here. The reason for that is, again, it's in person. So we want to make sure that we scale it down as best as we can. So to begin, I'm going to click on the state. We don't offer all 50 states here. If you don't see your state, and I know I'm going kind of fast, but whenever you set up your campaign, if you don't see the state that you're based in on here, just reach out to Messer and we'll get it added in. It's not a problem. It's not hard. This is just, this is year 2 of this product. So we had a slower launch last year. It's not a problem to get any state added in. But I'll go ahead and select North Carolina. I know that the Messer headquarters are based out of North Carolina. And which county is it again in Charlotte? Andrew, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Mecklenburg.
Mecklenburg. Perfect. So let's say I want to just target Mecklenburg County. Now I'm able to do that. I can also add another state if I'd like. That would be obviously useful if, let's say, you live right on the border of like Georgia and Florida. That could be useful. Other than that, there'd be no reason to utilize this feature. I could also add other counties if I would like, but I always like to reiterate to consumer or to agents, if you're going to take in-person appointments, just be mindful as best you can of drive time. So I know Mecklenburg County is enormous. So in this case, there's probably no reason to add a second county in, because you might get one, you might finish up an appointment on one edge of the county, and you might have another one an hour later on the other edge, and it's going to take you that full hour to get there. Now, if you're targeting very small counties within North Carolina or Georgia or wherever, of course, add 2 or 3 that are around. Just be mindful of drive time. Make sure that you are confident that you can get from point A to point B within an hour. And I'll reference why that hour is so important in just a moment. But I always like to mention that at this point as well. So, and again, you can exclude zip codes. So if there are certain areas of Mecklenburg County you don't want to target, you can add the zip codes in right here. But once this is set, you're just going to go to next, and it's going to go to your availability page. So here I'm able to select the days of the week I would actually like to hold an appointment. So let's say I never want to take an appointment on the weekend. All I need to do is toggle off Saturday and Sunday, and I will, as far as what the call center representative who's booking these appointments will see, is that Saturday and Sunday is booked out. I'm not available. I'm not going to have any appointments scheduled. But I am available then Monday through Friday. These are also going to be set between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. local time. So that is where that hour buffer, but then also your calendar settings are going to be so important. So how we're able to actually book these appointments is after you connect your calendar, either a Google Calendar or a Microsoft Calendar, our platform is going to be able to just look at the open times. They're not going to see anything like personal. They're not going to see any specific information. They're literally just seeing when the available times are. If there's an available time on a Wednesday at 1, they'll book that appointment. You're good to go. Now, whenever they book that appointment, it's automatically going to set an hour buffer on both sides of that appointment. So if I, like I said, if I got an appointment from 1 to 2 on Wednesday, I'm not going to have anything from 12 to 1, and I'm not going to have anything from 2 to 3. So that's going to give me enough time to drive. That's why we set it up that way, to get from point A to point B in case you have 2 appointments set on the same day. Now, you might be thinking, I don't want to take a 7 p.m. appointment. That's too late. I like to be home with my family. I want to eat dinner with my family. That's where on your calendar, it's important to utilize calendar blocking, which I can show in just a moment as well using my personal calendar. But if you use calendar blocking, as long as it's set to busy, it won't schedule any appointments for you. So another example I use is, let's say you never want to hold a lunch appointment. You already have standing lunch appointments each day. You just block that off on your calendar. We won't book anything for you. But if there is not something blocked in our calendar and our team is able to see just availability, you're then eligible to receive an appointment at that time. So always just like to make sure that's very, very clear. And again, I'll show you how to block on your calendar as well using a Google Calendar in just a moment. But once you have this set, you're just going to click on New, just like before. You can change the name, adjust any of your options here or any of your selections here, apply a promo code, and then ultimately launch the campaign. So right here, this is a great example. So my account balance must be at least $500 to launch this campaign. So the minimum is 5 appointments. So this is what you're going to see. It's going to just ask me to deposit $2 because that's all I need. I'm at $498. I can also do 250, 500, all the way up to 1500 if I'd like. I'll put in my payment method, auto recharge like before, and I'm good to go. Now, luckily, I've already set up an in-person appointment campaign, so I'm not really worried about it. I've done one for Ashe County, North Carolina. And all I need to do is just like before, I'm going to click here, I'm going to set it to active, and I think it's going to spit out an error here that I have to connect to my calendar. So that's what you're going to see if you haven't connected your calendar yet, and you're not going to be able to actually receive any appointments until you've done so. Now, how do you do that? You're just going to go here to your top left and click on settings, and you're going to see right here, calendar settings. So you'll connect calendar, and it's just going to take you through a very simple flow. So I'll continue with Google, and I'll use my work email, so spencer@salesriver.com. It's just asking if I agree to the privacy policy in terms of service. I'll say continue. And then here's just asking, like I said before, can we just view your calendar? We're not going to look at anything private. We're not going to look at any specific details. We're literally just looking at they're booked at this time, they're open at this time. And that's all we're looking at. So I'm going to allow that, and it's going to spit me back out to Sales River, where it should say connect to calendar, Spencer@salesriver.com. But I've actually connected my calendar to another account on a different client of ours, and I can't do it twice. So that's why this is still saying connect calendar. For you, it's going to say that you're connected, and as long as you see your email spit out here to the side, you'll be able to launch your campaign. Now, like I said before, I'm going to show you how to calendar block. So right here, this is a great example, is here on Wednesday, I have a lot of appointments. So I have our call right here at 10 a.m. I have another one here at 11:30, one at 1:30, and then one at 2:30. So any of these times, I'm not going to be eligible to receive any appointments, but Wednesday or Thursday is obviously pretty wide open. So let's say I don't want to take any appointments between 6 and 7 any day of the week, or between 5 and 7, I should say. I can do 5 to 7 p.m. I can block that. I can repeat it daily just to make sure that I'm not going to receive any appointments from 5 to 7. Make sure that it is busy. If it's set to free, it's going to pop up as a time that you're able to receive an appointment still. So make sure that this is set to busy, and I'll save that. And I'm now going to see that I'm not going to receive any appointments ever between 5 and 7 p.m. any day of the week. But I'll go back to the MyMFG marketplace. And yeah, that's how you create in-person appointments. Are there any questions here before we wrap up?
There are a couple. So, one of them is, does the calendar tool work with iCloud Calendar as well? Or like multiple calendar apps?
I believe it only works with Google and Microsoft, but you might have noticed whenever I went through the flow, it said there was a button that said see all providers. It's worth clicking into that. iCloud might be available. If not, I believe there's a way to sync your two calendars together. You would have to Google that. Unfortunately, I don't know how to do that in this moment, but that's how that would be done. One thing I did forget to mention, Andrew, I know we're in the midst of questions. You're probably wondering, how are these leads generated for in-person appointments? So how they're generated is a consumer is going to call in on an inbound call, just like what you would experience with an inbound live call. But instead of going directly to you, it's going to go to a call center that we work with. That call center is going to do vetting. They're going to make sure that they say they are, all their personal information is accurate. But they're also going to confirm that they have parts A and B. And that part is essential. They do confirm that they have parts A and B. At that point, if they confirm to all of that, they're going to look into our calendar. And if they see any availability within that consumer's area, they're going to say, hey, I have a licensed agent in your county that would love to meet with you in your home to discuss your Medicare options. Would you like to do that? Now, if they say no, they'll be converted to something else. If they say yes, they're then going to be put into our scheduler, where they're going to be able to select a time and day that they would like to actually hold this appointment. Beyond that, the call center representative is only going to book this appointment after they've fully gone through a verbal scope of appointment, which you're going to have the written copy of that, which is going to be agreed to in your My Leads page, which you can also download. but they're going to go through a verbal scope of appointment, and they're only going to book the appointment whenever the consumer has consented to everything. If they don't consent to all of it, they won't book the appointment. So you can be assured that everything has been compliant, that everything is good to go. And again, you're going to have that written scope of appointment, which is what's being read off verbatim during the verbal scope of appointment, available to you in the My Leads page, where I clicked actions earlier, where you can change the status and add notes. If you have an appointment lead, there will be another button that says download SOA PDF. You can download that, print it off, take it with you to the appointment, and have everything signed. So wanted to make sure that was mentioned. That's as important as anything else I've said today about how the leads are generated, or how the leads are, or how the campaigns are created. But I just wanted to make sure I said that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Another question is, for ACA appointments before OEP, are they vetted for SEP?
So ACA appointments we don't offer. So I don't have really an answer for that, because it's not something that we do.
Fair
We
enough.
only offer Medicare in-person appointments. As for ACA calls, things like that, if you wanted to do you can handle those as appropriately as you can imagine at any point in the year. Obviously, being mindful of different seasons, and you mentioned SEP, OEP, making sure that everything is compliant as it can be on the call. So, trusting your scripting again would be very important there.
Sure. Let me see. Could you show, I don't know if you know this, I do, but there is a call script that they can access in the FAQ section.
Yes, I believe it is. Call handling guideline right here. So if you ever need to see a call handling guideline, you can find one right here. It's very basic. I would still make sure that you follow a more cohesive script fully, but this is a great tool just to see how calls can be handled appropriately and effectively.
Awesome. And I think one of the final questions is, somebody in the beginning asked kind of the conversion rates for each type of lead. I don't know
Yep.
if you have specifics on that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So like I mentioned with the in-person appointments, those can close anywhere between, I would say on average, 35 to 40%, but agents have closed at 45 to 50%. Um, Always like to set the bar more at the average than what, maybe the higher end is, but it's certainly possible to close about 1 and 2 of the appointments. Calls, those hover between 15 to 20, maybe 25% on the high end. You could expect to close 1 out of every 5 to 6 calls, maybe 1 out of every 8 to 9 as well, especially with the less expensive calls that are $25. The leads close at maybe 3 to 5% if you do the specific lead type. If you do a tier 2, those might close at 1 to 2%.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And just in general, I see a lot of questions about, is this being recorded? I've tried to answer some, but yes, this is being recorded. It will be sent out. It should be in the MyMFG portal. If you log in, it should be in the agent center, I believe is where it's called. And that'll be in a few days, but it will be there. So you guys can go back. If you are new, you can come back to this, or if, a lot was covered by Spencer, and we do appreciate it, but we can always come back and rewatch it, because there's a lot here. It's a simple platform. Once you get to it, I like that a lot about it. It's easy to create campaigns, and it's really awesome tool to use. But
Yeah,
it will be available later.
absolutely. Awesome. Well, a couple just last minute things, just tidying up. So if you ever need support, if you ever need help, especially on the technical side, I would say if you have questions specific to um, scripting, things more product specific, like about Medicare, reach out to your contact at Messer. If you have questions about how to just function the platform, you can click here on need support. It'll populate an email for you where you can send in exactly what's going on, and we'd be happy to help. We also have the FAQ page, which I briefly showed a second ago. I would recommend going here first before you ask before you reach out to support, because your answer might already be right here. But if it's not, again, we're happy to help. And lastly, we have this integration button here, which is where you can request a Zapier API key and convert it, or basically link the MyMFG marketplace platform to another CRM. But something that our team has been working on that we will have done before AEP is, if you're going to be able to go into settings, and you're not going to see it here yet because it's not completed, there's going to be a couple spots just like here with like phone number or email address where you're going to be able to put in your MyMFG Plus API key and your MyMFG Plus location ID. Whenever you put those numbers in, you just save the changes, and it's going to link directly to MyMFG Plus. So that'll be done here shortly, and I'll be sure to let Andrew and his team know so he can get out all the information, and we'll make sure that you know how to fill everything in. But that's something that's coming down the pipeline that you can be excited about before AEP.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. I know MyMFG Plus is an awesome thing, but with leads coming in, you can do a lot of automations and have text messages or emails automatically sent out to the leads that are coming in, which would streamline a lot of things for people. So if you don't know what MyMFG Plus is, you can call our marketers and call in at 866-373-7604. Again, that's for our marketers. Call in, ask them all the questions. They love the questions, and they would be happy to continue to answer those for everybody.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I don't have anything else, Andrew. So if you have anything else, then I'll be happy to stay on. But if not, thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. This was great, and good luck this AEP.
Thank you so much, Spencer. We appreciate it again. You're awesome. And thanks to you, everybody, for joining. And again, we put in the chat the number to call so you can answer or ask your questions and get your questions answered. So we appreciate it.